This episode is powered by SMUD, Sacramento Municipal Utility District's Shine Awards program benefiting nonprofits for energy efficiency. Apply today. Welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast Network. Our purpose and passion are simple: to highlight the incredible nonprofits that make our communities stronger. Each episode is a chance for these organizations to tell their story in their words, sharing not just what they do, but why it matters to the people they serve, to their supporters, and to all of us who believe in the power of community. Through podcasting, we hope to amplify their voices, inspire connection, and give them one more tool to impact the hearts of donors, partners, and neighbors alike. Our work is made possible through the generous support of our partners. CapTrust, offering fiduciary advice for endowments and foundations. Western Health Advantage, a local, not-for-profit health plan that believes healthcare is more than coverage. It's about caring. CORE, Executive Leadership and Comprehensive Support Services. They work in it so you can work on it. And Five Star Bank, a local, trusted advisor to community nonprofits for over 25 years. Our episode sponsor is Sacramento Venture Philanthropy, a community of generosity combining people, expertise, and capital for good. Human trafficking and sexual exploitation are difficult subjects to confront, but they are very real issues affecting women, young people, and families throughout our Sacramento community. Community Against Sexual Harm, better known as CASH, provides a safe, non-judgmental place where survivors can find food, medical care, counseling, employment assistance, peer mentorship, and long-term support. It's an organization built not simply to provide services, but to walk alongside women for as long as their journey requires. My guest is CASH Executive Director Sawan Vaden, whose connection to this work is deeply personal. Sawan first came to CASH as a client. Today, she leads the organization, and nearly 80% of its staff members also bring their own lived experience to the women they serve. We'll talk about the choices survivors are forced to make, why demand for CASH's services has grown so dramatically, and the organization's campaign to transform a donated building into a larger, more complete center for healing, stability, and hope. This is a powerful story of survival, compassion, and what becomes possible when people are given a safe place to believe in themselves again. Sawan Vaden, welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast Network.
Thank you for having me.
This has taken us a little while to get together, and I am really excited to be able to speak with you because the topic that we're talking about is so prolific. Sacramento has an unusual distinction of a high rate of human trafficking because of the confluence of our freeways and the nature of our community. And that's one of the primary services that CASH, or Community Against Sexual Harm, provides. In order to get us started, would you first help us identify the organization? Tell us a little bit about it and what it is you're accomplishing in Sacramento.
Yeah, so again, thank you for having me here. I am thrilled to be able to speak about the issue of trafficking in Sacramento and the different things that CASH has going on in Sacramento. CASH is an organization that was first founded back in 2008. And what started us off was we had a few officers, pop officers, Cindy Stinson and Susan Feenstra, who were working the area of Broadway and Stockton Boulevard, and they were tasked with addressing trafficking and prostitution in that area. And were a lot of community members who were complaining about the issue. And so, like any good cop, they thought that they could arrest the problem away, and they would arrest the women, and then soon the women would be right back on the streets. And so they had to ask themselves and the people who were complaining, like, is there another way of doing this? What else can we do? Because what we're doing isn't working. And long story short, they partnered with some Sac State professors, community-based organizations, community members to put together a needs assessment to ask the women what it was that they needed. And what they found was that the women needed a non-judgmental, safe place to gather where they can have some of their basic needs met and have access to services. And that's kind of the beginning of what Cash is. We received our 501c back in 2013 and have kind of just been pushing along ever since, starting with a drop in center that was open a couple of nights a week from like 6 to 8, offering food and safety. And we've kind of now we're open 5 days a week. We've got our own space that we rent, and we have a variety of services that we offer anyone who's experienced trafficking or exploitation. And it's really exploitation. If a woman has experienced exploitation at any point in their lives, then Cash is the place for them. And a lot of people experience exploitation without even knowing it. If you ever felt like you had to give yourself up for a place to stay or somewhere to eat or to be in a safe place, that you had to give of yourself for that, then you would qualify for our services. We have a myriad of services that include our drop-in center, which is kind of the heart of who we are. Anyone is welcome, and we have food, hot food every day that we cook. We have a clothing closet, peer mentoring, and groups. And then we have comprehensive case management services where if someone's saying, I need a hand with getting out of the life, with regaining stability in my mine and my children's life, then we have case managers that can work with them hand in hand to help them access housing, find employment, um, sign up for benefits, whatever it looks like, go to medical appointments, really walk with them through their journey. And that program is usually a year to 2 years. And then we have an employment program where it really just focuses on employment and removing barriers to employment. And so, anyone coming in that's like, hey, really need help with a resume, would love to um, develop some soft skills so that I can know how to interview, or I need someone to take me to these interviews or walk me through these processes, then we have a program just for them. And then we have a free medical clinic partnered with Dignity Health Medical Safe Haven, where we're open um, a few days a week. Hopefully, we'll be open 5 days a week soon.
We're going to
Um,
get to that in
and
just
we
a
will get
minute.
to that, where they can just come and get their medical needs met. No need for insurance, no need for ID, no need for anything. We cover the cost of labs, medications, and the cost of the exam. And it's basically like a urgent care. Um, and really, having that clinic there has saved many lives with people coming in who haven't accessed medical care in many years. And now they are establishing medical care with their own provider and feel comfortable talking to physicians. And then we have our Reset program. Our Reset program is one of our original programs where we partner with Superior Court of Sacramento, and anyone arrested for prostitution is offered an 8-week class that they can complete, and their charges are vacated. So it's as if the arrest never happened, and they're connected to cash and can have access to all kinds of services.
That is a plethora of service and provision to the community. Are you geographically restricted, so to speak? Do you just work in a particular area, or where do you see most of the people coming from? And I'm assuming it's mostly women.
Yes. So yeah, women and youth.
Yes.
And so before I answer that question, we also have a therapy program we
But wait,
offer.
there's more.
But wait, there's more. We have a therapy program and we have youth programming. So anyone that we get referrals from probation and juvenile hall and CPS and parents with youth that could use some additional support. We take a prevention program into schools, churches, whatever is needed. And we do a lot of community education. So community education is key to our mission, educating the community about the harms inflicted on women in our community. And we are located in Oak Park. So that's kind of where we are. But we serve women all around Sacramento and surrounding cities.
Well, I would imagine certainly if the opportunity is there and they happen to be in proximity and the timing is just right, they can come in. That's part of your walk-in
Yeah.
opportunity to really share with them what's going on. Is there a particular program that you see or programs that you see more prolifically used than others?
So our case management programs are pretty robust. Each case manager can hold a caseload of about 20 to 25.
Oh, wow.
And they typically are stay pretty full. It ebbs and flows, but women really wanting that additional support, this they may not have had any real good teachers that taught them how to live life. What is life skills? What is it to parent? How do we parent in a healthy way? How do we live life on a new budget without having access to all the rest of the things that were in their previous life? And so our case management programs are pretty robust and our employment program.
This is an aside on a question, but do you have an idea what the return rate is? I mean, how many women go through the program and actually integrate into society versus fall back into rough situations?
Yeah, so I think that we don't have a recidivism rate necessarily, but so cash is a place where women can come forever. It's never, oh, you completed the program, now you're done. It's, "Oh, you completed the program. Please come back,
We're here for you
and we're here for
all the
you
time. Yeah.
all the time." And so we have women who graduate who are successful. We were just trying to identify who would be our Phoenix Award nominee for this year for our annual fundraiser, and we the list is continuing to grow. So we have women who do complete the program and are wildly successful. And then we have women who it takes a little bit of time. You have to
Sure.
imagine if you've lived a life, you're 30 years old, and more than half of your life you've lived a certain way, it's going to take longer than a year or two to learn how to be stabilized and to relearn how to live life, the last life you lived for 15 years. And so we are understanding of that, and we know that it can take time. So sometimes we have people who re-enroll into our programs 3 and 4 times.
The good news is they are.
Yeah,
That's not a bad thing.
no, it's not a
They
bad thing.
recognize that they need the help. They come and they do what they need to do.
Yeah, and then about 80% of our staff were were former clients. And so we
80%?
about 80%, myself included. I was a client back in 2014, and came back in 2016 as a substance abuse counselor and anti-trafficking case manager. And I kind of just worked my way up through the organization, and now I'm the executive director. But we have other staff members who were clients and participated in lots of different programs, and they kind of just were like, you know what, I want to be here too. Like I see myself helping. I want to be where you are, and they are. And so our employment specialist, our drop-in center coordinator, our program manager, um, our anti-trafficking case, everyone,
Yeah,
mostly every,
80%,
just
right?
about.
8 out of 10
There's only
people.
there's only two people who aren't who haven't been former clients or who haven't given to the organization in some way.
What a testament to the program.
Yeah,
In two ways. First of all, the competency that you've developed through the program for people to step into these roles.
yeah,
But secondly, that they are fully engaged now and progressing through the organization.
yeah,
And I'm sure sometimes you lose them to other opportunities, but
yeah.
that's a good thing.
That's a good thing. That's
Yes.
a good thing. And sometimes they're afraid to do that. Like, oh no, I owe cash so much. It's like, no, honey, this is where you learn and you learn to be who you were made to be. And then you move on. We've had a few staff members recently, just in the past couple of years, who were with Cash for the time that they were supposed to be with Cash. And now they're doing amazing things in different organizations like Weave and Well Space Health. And so it's like the where you build your foundation.
Yeah. And speaking of foundations now, you've been there for a little over 10
A
years.
little, yeah, May was 10 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And from the bottom up,
Yep, from the
from
bottom,
a client
started from the
all the way
bottom,
to
now we're
running the
here.
organization.
Yeah,
So, and knowing that you've got the people with that much familiarity, what an incredible relationship they can have with clients
yeah,
because they can relate. And that's not the case all the time for, for many organizations. It's one side here and the other side
yeah,
here, still doing great work, but that relativity to the situation to be able to talk the talk and walk the walk and say, I've been there, I understand,
yeah,
is so, so different.
yeah. We have a wall when you first come in and walk through the center. We have a wall with all of the staff with lived experiences, pictures. And so the first picture at the bottom, for me, I'll use myself as an example. I was kidnapped when I was 13.
Mm.
And there's a missing child flyer that we kind of put together to fit in this frame. And then I was trafficked again at the age of 18. And progressively, it kind of grows to where I'm a substance abuse counselor at the same recovery home that I went to because of my own addictions. And then my first year at CAS, celebrating my birthday and my success in my new job. And then where I am now as a homeowner of 3 homes. I'm married, I have children, I have a career that I love. I'm present and stable minded, and I have faith. And those are things that really ground me. And so when the women walk through, they see themselves at that in that bottom picture. Like,
Hmm.
man, that was me. And they're like, wow, it's possible. Because in some of these women's lives, they don't see that possibility. For generations, people live in poverty. And this is the life that they know, the life that their whole generations have known.
Right.
And to see a possibility of getting out, to see that that can be also them, really gives them hope and a sense of connectedness.
And there's two things I want to capture in that conversation. You said 3 children, but as we speak,
Yeah.
there is a fourth on the way,
There's a fourth on the way,
due in
Judah.
November,
Yes.
which is incredible. This is a first. I have not had a pregnant woman in the studio ever in 2.5 years. So
You're welcome.
I'm I'm privileged to have
Yes.
you both sitting here.
Thank you.
And then the other thing that you mentioned is really a great segue to the next question, and that is the collaborative nature of what you do.
Yeah.
You mentioned Weave. There's one organization. Who are some of the organizations that you find yourself working with in the community?
Yeah. Gosh. So we work really closely with City of Refuge. We've worked with them for many years. Rochelle and Lauren Ditmore, or Lauren and Rochelle Ditmore, the Ditmores. And they're in Oak Park and they do housing. And so we've partnered with them for many years for that specific thing, housing, and then other things too, partnering on grants together and just really figuring out how do we serve the community best. And so we'll always be partners. Those are one of our like strong rooted partners.
And I just want to interject a second. You said something partnering on grants,
Yes.
which is such a critical thing at this point in time with funding changing
Yeah.
and the way that things are coming down. The necessity to work with other organizations
Yes.
to pull that revenue or that money in is so significant. I applaud you for that, because a lot of organizations are just now trying to figure out, what are we going to do? Well,
Yeah.
it's work together
Yeah.
is what we're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Family Justice Center.
I was
So
going to say that when you
yeah.
were talking about it,
Yeah.
but I didn't know for sure that.
Yeah, so we partner on an anti-trafficking grant, and it
Yep.
works well. And it works well when you partner together. And Cash is a little bit of a smaller organization, and some larger organizations can take on that fiscal responsibility. And
Mhm.
so, really finding out who are the partners that we can really partner with, because sometimes, I hate to say it, but sometimes it feels like we're in competition. Especially when we're in this town, which is big but kind of feels small.
Yes.
Especially in the anti-trafficking world, and we're all competing for the same grants, and it can feel like a competition. But how do we partner together to ensure that we're serving best? And that's what City of Refuge and Family Justice Center does, is we partner together to see how we serve best. And then not only are we partnering together on grants, but also on how do we educate the community best? How do we educate our staff best? How do we do this and lead best?
And you mentioned CPS and law enforcement and medical with
Mhm.
Dignity Health.
Yes.
I mean, these are all such critical elements that come together either from identification and support to integration and
Yeah.
an exit.
Yeah, the DA's office, the Superior Court, like really making sure that Sacramento Police Department, we've partnered with them. We were founded by police officers.
Right.
And so really making sure that we are not only supporting them in their work, but really showing them how to treat women who have experienced exploitation and trafficking, because there are so many biases connected to women that you see walking the street. And so many judgments that people have, and it impacts the way that they treat them. And so really we've worked really closely with Sacramento Police Department, and they have shifted the way that they address trafficking, where it really is going after the demand The reason why the women are out there in the beginning is because there's people out there who are seeking to purchase them,
Exploitation
right? Like
too, right?
that's why they're out there. And so when we can address the demand and help the people who are being sold, it'll actually make an impact. And so really focusing on demand and the people who are putting the women out there, the exploiters, the traffickers, right? What they're doing is also wrong. And the women need support. So SAC-PD really gets that and have been working diligently to ensure that whenever they're doing operations or whenever they're engaging with someone, they have an advocate or someone that can be there to support the women as they learn to exit. And even if they don't exit, they have the information for when they're ready.
And would I be correct in the comment that the majority of those women are not out there of their own free will?
And so, yes, and choice. We often think of choice as I'm choosing to live this lifestyle because this is the best choice that I have, versus I'm making a choice to survive because I don't have any other means of survival,
Mhm.
or I haven't learned any other means of survival. Or when you see a youth that's out there, it's I'm at home being abused by my father. And then there's this guy that comes who's offering me all of these wonderful things, and he's not abusing me yet. And he's not my father, and I get to eat and I get to have nice things. What choice is she making?
Mhm.
Right? Like when we think of choice, we have to think of the entire picture and what the choices are that they choose. Because someone who has privilege and access and just a free ride isn't going to choose prostitution. That's not the choice they're going to make. And so I just want people to understand that no one's really choosing if they have good choices.
And it's almost the lesser or the better of two bad options.
Exactly.
And then at some point, I would imagine it turns into fear.
Yeah.
And then it's just survival.
Yeah. And in some instances it is just fear. In some instances you're not choosing, you're being forced.
Mhm.
You're being trafficked. You might have what they call a gorilla pimp who forces you to be out there and makes you be out there. And so there's all different types of reasons why you may see someone that is out on the streets or online being trafficked.
Mhm. Let's talk a little bit about funding. How is the organization funded?
Yeah, so we're largely grant funded.
Okay.
And so really seeking for grants. Our employment program is a California Reinvestment Community Grant, which is the marijuana tax grant. CalOES, California Office of Emergency Services, they have
Mhm.
grants. Victim of Crime Act grant. Um, Different foundations have grants, and then we do fundraising and have annual fundraisers and
I think you said
individual contributions.
your annual event is every October is when you.
Well, it was an evening in September, and so it was every September. And then this year, just circumstances has it that we're in October, and we've renamed it to Envision.
Okay.
So an evening in October, AEIO, all we need is you,
I love
and
it. You're full of acronyms.
I am.
CASH, AEIO,
Yes.
AEI. Say it again.
An evening in October, AEIO, the
Okay.
vowels,
But you
AEIO.
is at the end of that, right?
Yeah, all we
AEIOU?
need is you.
Got it.
Yes, yes. But it's Envision. And so, yes, we have our annual fundraiser and then individual donations, people giving on a regular basis that really care about our mission, our for our mission, and, set up reoccurring payments or give when we do our annual appeal, big day of giving, just different opportunities for people to give.
We'll continue the conversation with Sawan Vaden of Communities Against Sexual Harm, or CASH, following a few brief messages from those who make this critical programming possible.
Make our communities bright with Smudge Shine Awards. Now through July 31st, your nonprofit can apply for a chance to receive funding for projects that improve and revitalize communities in our service area. We're seeking proposals that support zero carbon workforce development, affordability and community resiliency, economic development, and STEM education. Smudge Shine Awards are competitive and funds are limited. Submit your proposal by July 31st. Learn more at smud.org/shine.
I'm James Beckwith, President and CEO of Five Star Bank. We're dedicated to supporting nonprofit organizations who advocate for the strength, resilience, and vitality of those they serve. When nonprofit organizations thrive, our community does too. By supporting the Nonprofit Podcast Network, Five Star Bank is amplifying the voices and meaningful impact of our nonprofit community. We're Five Star Bank, a trusted nonprofit partner. How can we help you?
We are really excited to be part of the family and contribute to the work that you all are doing. CORE provides fractional and interim executive services, along with comprehensive back office solutions that go into our client sites and do the work to give them the capacity they need in order to move through transitions, whether that's planned or unplanned. Or companies also work with our accounting and finance, back office solutions, human resources, technology, and administration. The reason why our back office solutions add value is because we save them time and money, anywhere from 20 to 30% of what they would spend on that back office solution. We work in it so they can actually work on it. CXORE.com and contact me directly at DTEAT@CXORE.com.
If you're interested in learning more about how CORE may help your organization, visit CXORE.com.
Hello, this is Scott Thomas with Cap Trust in our Sacramento office. I specialize in working with local nonprofits and associations. Annually, we survey private and public nonprofit organizations across the country to better understand challenges they see in today's environment. In our more recent survey, we heard concerns about proper board governance, mission-aligned investment, and how to implement alternative investments. If you would like a copy of the survey or to discuss your organization, look me up, Scott Thomas at captrust.com.
I'm thrilled to have Western Health Advantage partnering with us as they do so much to support so many nonprofit agencies in our community. As a truly local health plan, you'll find individual and family options, employer options, plans for CalPERS and Medicare Advantage. From medical services to pharmacy, health and wellness support, as well as behavioral health care, Western Health Advantage has a plan that fits what you need. As an employer, for profit or nonprofit business, individual or family, you can find more at westernhealth.com.
Hi, I'm Brad Squires, CEO of Sacramento Venture Philanthropy. For more than a decade, SVP has brought together local donors, business leaders, and nonprofit changemakers to do philanthropy differently. Through pooled funding, hands-on mentorship, and programs like Fast Pitch and 100X, SVP helps nonprofits build real, long-term capacity, not just short-term solutions. If you're looking to go beyond writing the check and want to use your experience, your voice, your leadership to create a lasting impact and have a lot of fun doing it, now is the time to join SVP. Learn more about becoming a partner at svpsacramento.org.
I'm going to give you an opportunity to think big for a second. A donor comes through, loves what you're doing, Oak Park resident maybe, and says, this is significant to benefiting our community. Give me a good enough idea to write you a blank check. What would it look like?
What would the number be?
Nope.
Oh.
No, the number is whatever you need
Whatever-
it to be.
whatever
What
I
would
want,
you
blank.
do if somebody said, here's an astronomical amount of money?
I would build housing. I would. So we have our capital campaign that we're launching right now for our building. Sierra Health Foundation has gifted us a building, and on Alhambra, which used to be the old Observer building.
Oh, I know exactly which building it is. Yes.
And I have a story behind that, but I'll wait if we have time. And I've always wanted to build housing on top of our building. And so that we had everything literally in one stop. Because right now we're like, oh, we're a one-stop shop, but we don't have housing, and housing is a big issue. And so build housing and then build additional housing, like first step housing where you're just getting stable, and then maybe even building small homes where people can own them and then sell them and then buy their forever home. Like, how do we build social capital? How do we really remove generations out of poverty and out of dysfunction and out of trauma into stability and wealth? Like a blank check, I would do just that.
And that would give people the opportunity then to fully assimilate through a
Yes.
process as opposed to, here you go.
Yeah.
And many times that's frightening.
Yeah.
We recently did an episode with an organization that is helping youth who get into their first apartment, and typically foster youth. Well, that's good, but there's nothing in it.
Yeah.
And they help them furnish it and everything. But how many times does that happen? And I would imagine the same with your clients.
Yeah.
They get out, we got a place for you. This is great. And maybe they are good with the rent, but then what? Especially if they have a child.
Yeah.
Sleeping bags. I mean, just all those things that come with everything.
Everything.
I'd love the idea of stacking it.
Yeah.
Because literally you could, first story is this, second story is this, third story is that. What a great idea.
Yeah. That's what I would do.
And then back to reality today.
Yeah.
What is the greatest need? Where do you find the greatest need for the organization?
Our greatest need right now is our building campaign. So right now,
let's get into that.
Yeah.
Because that's a big deal.
That's a big deal. It's a really big deal. And it is such a blessing for us, such a dream come true. And everything has just lined up perfectly. And so right now we're in 3,200 square feet, and we do everything that I mentioned.
All of those services are going through 3,200 square feet. How many people?
We serve about 40 to 50 people a day.
A day?
A day. And we have about 10 to 12 staff, depending on the day, that might be in the building. I no longer have my own office. I share office with my finance director. Everyone has shared offices. We have 4 office spaces. We use every space as a multi-purpose room. We can barely hold the people that we serve because our women come with their children, and we cook really good meals, and they come to eat, and everyone's kind of just sitting on top of each other. We have our clinic, but we only have 1 exam room. So when it gets busy.
The clinic is part of the same 3,200 square feet?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. We only have 1 exam room. So when it gets busy, like, we're just piling on top of each other, but we're making it work, and we're doing really good work, but we need more space. And so our new building on Alhambra is 8,550 square feet.
Almost triple.
Yeah. And it's beautiful.
And I'll bet you know exactly what to do with it.
I know exactly. Yeah. When I walk, it's a weird shaped building. It's like a triangle, but it's exactly what we need. We need to expand our youth services. And so we're going to have a little teen center in the corner on the opposite side of our drop-in center. We're going to have 2 exam rooms. We're going to have a full kitchen. Right now, the kitchen that we have is not really a kitchen. It's a room with a sink and a refrigerator. And so we have a little convention oven, we have air fryer, we have slow cookers, and we cook amazing meals and those things. But the day when we can have this full kitchen and do cooking classes, and the women can help and participate, and we can cook full sheet pans of lasagna and just different things that we can really nourish the women and children that we serve on a daily basis. We'll have full bathrooms. So we have a bathroom. We have bathrooms now, but this real small toilet and sink. We need showers. We serve a really large homeless population. And just imagine the things that happen with women when they're homeless and the needs that they have. And there's not many places for them to shower. And we've had to really help women get cleaned up ourselves. And so having a shower that you can be proud of to come into, where it's not sterile in any way and it feels like home. So we're going to have 2 full size home bathrooms where the women can go and just do their thing and get themselves together. They'll have to have a timer, but that's okay. Sure. We'll have a children's room. Our children's room right now is really small, but we make it work. We have toys and things, but we'll have a full-size children's room where the kids can go and play, and we'll have activities, and we'll have programming for the kids. We'll just have all of these things. We'll have storage.
I can see your face just lighten up as you're explaining this, because people who are just listening don't see what your face looks like.
Yeah,
and it is just beaming to get into the facility, and you're describing it humanly.
Yeah.
It's not, we're going to get 2,600 square feet more and this and that. No, you're talking about the experience of the people who are going to get to use it. And that's important.
Yeah.
That's important for the people who are hearing the stories, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's equally as important for the clients who are the beneficiaries of what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just gonna be at home. When you walk into Cash, it feels like home. And so that's like everyone says it. It's like if it's really like a homey feeling. It's comfortable. Sometimes has a few smells, but nothing some air freshener can't get rid of. And it feels like home. And so where my goal is to take that same feeling with freshness to the new building where when you walk in, it's nothing is sterile about it. You know that you're comfortable. You know that your needs are going to be met. We have therapy rooms and different things that can really meet the woman where they're at right there in that moment without any requirement to change who she is. And often when you go into these places, it's like, okay, if you come here for services, you've got to do this, 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 and this. It was like, come, be who you are. Let us love on you. Let us show you what's possible and wait for you to make the decision to do
Mm-hmm.
something if that's what you choose to do. And some women that we have come, they just remain who they are. And at some point, the light bulb goes off and they're like, well, maybe I will participate in this group.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, maybe I will do this, or maybe I will do that. And before you know it, their whole lives have changed just from us being able to allow them to be who they are in a space that they feel comfortable in and not judged.
Yeah, that acceptance and that safety and that security of recognition that you have with 80% of your people being clients.
Yeah.
That is a really unique situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very unique. Let's talk a little bit about that capital campaign that you've got, because it's going to be going on for a bit. I don't want to date the episode that we're having here, but it's significant. So tell us a little bit about, what's happening.
Yeah. So right now,
You've got this almost 9,000 square foot building
Yep.
that you're transitioning to.
Yep, we're interviewing for an architect so that we can get designs built up, and we'll be putting out an RFP for a contractor, and we're soon to release our capital campaign deck, which I will send you.
Please.
And yeah, so we'll have different naming opportunities where if an organization or a person would like to put their name on the drop-in center, and it's their names on the drop-in center and they give $250,000. Or if they've got 5,000 and we have a brick wall with their name on it, and or just different opportunities where people can feel like they're involved and can feel like they're really a part of it. So we're also looking for furniture, and we'll need computers, and we'll need restroom stuff in a refrigerator and stoves. And so looking for things, donations like that once we get to that point, and connections, like who do you know that can do some of this work and some blood, sweat, and tears to
Yes.
do the work. Um, and yeah, I'm full transparency. I've never done a capital campaign. I've never developed a building. All of this stuff is brand new to me. So there's so much learning that I have to do. And so I'm also very open to advisement and people who know what they're doing. Tell me how to do it.
I am so glad you said that,
Yeah.
because I suspect that somebody's going to hear this and reach out.
Yeah.
And that just warms my heart, because your candidness, your transparency to say, hey, it's new to me.
Yeah.
And anywhere I can get some support and some help and some actual experience to apply to what we're doing, because it's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. And it's a big deal that won't just impact me and the staff that we have and the current clients that we have.
This is in perpetuity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This goes for a long, long time.
A long time. And it's ours.
Yes.
The building will belong to us. And it will belong, if it belongs to Cash, it belongs to the community.
Right.
And so, yeah.
Well, we talked a little bit about the programs. We talked about the women and the families, the women and children that you service. How do you gauge your impact? How do you say, we know we're doing good because, if you're even maybe sharing it with a donor or somebody who's philanthropically minded and says, well, what does that impact look like?
I think it looks a few ways. So often when I'm telling our story, I talk about how many people we serve in a year. Last year, we served 645 women.
It's amazing. When you said 40 a day, I was shocked.
Yeah. And that's an unduplicated number because often we have a lot of the same women that come back. But we also have success through the stories and the lives that we see.
That's more
And,
important.
and success can look different for many people. And sometimes we have to shift the way we see success and look at the incremental wins because cash is really harm reduction. So we really want to reduce the harm in women's lives while giving them access to services that will change their lives. And so for someone who's been homeless for 30 years on the streets, that moves into a one-bedroom apartment, that lives there for 5 years without being homeless, but then passes away from cancer. The success in that is that she was able to pass away in her home and no longer be on the streets. A young lady that was clean and sober for, 15 months after using for 20 years, relapses and then knows to come back and asks for help and gets back into a recovery home. That's success. Because she knew to come back. She knew that it was possible and that she could get the services that she needed at cash. Children who have the education that they need and are able to identify when trafficking is about to happen, and they report it to their teacher, and get themselves out of that risky behavior, get themselves out of that situation. That's success. Our staff are our success. The way that we're blessed all the time and things are happening for us shows us that we're doing good work in the community. So I think it depends on who we're talking to and what their interest is and how to say the story, because we've got success in many ways, and we really need people to see success the way that we see success. Because it's not always, oh, she graduated from the program, now she's an RN, and because that's not everyone's story.
And that exists.
And that exists.
But you're right.
We've got lots of successful
There's
people.
a spectrum of success. Yes.
There's a spectrum because we've got lots of successful people who are doing really well and are living their lives. They're not doing the same kind of work, but they're RNs and they're a probation officer out in Woodland, and they're just doing all of these amazing things in their journey. And we were a drop in their bucket, right? Because we're not also the creator of the success. Right? They are the creators of their success, their choices, the things that they decided to do, and how they chose to take advantage of the services that were available to them. They're the reason why they're successful. We were just guides.
Where you gave them the ability to make good choices.
Yeah.
And then to act on them.
Yeah.
And they turned out favorably. Yeah. As more often than not they do.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I love the explanation. You did a beautiful job of that. Especially with just a little tiny stat at the front, but then cascade into all the touch points. And that's what people want to hear. They want to hear, how did it work? And does it work? And is it working? And the fact that you're here almost 20 some years later clearly exemplifies the fact that something's going right.
Yeah.
Sadly, you're still here 20 years later.
Yeah.
We wish at some point that a lot of this didn't happen, but I'm going to imagine that it probably is not getting any better in some cases.
Yeah, no, it's not. For me, what success is we have no more clients and we work ourselves out of a job.
That's correct.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Have you seen a greater demand over the course of, let's say, the last 5 years? And I say this, I'll give a reference point. Our food insecure population has almost quadrupled since the pandemic. The food banks are talking about the amazing demand that they've got on them. And I don't mean that in a good way. The good is that they're able to fulfill and serve. Yeah. But the unfortunate is that it's grown. And then the other part of that is our unhoused population, whether it be permanent or temporary, doesn't seem to be getting much better either. And I'm assuming that
it's the same. Yeah. Over the past, kind of since the pandemic.
Right.
But I would say even more in the past 3 or 4 years, We were at a point where we only served like 5 to 10 people a day.
Oh,
Yeah.
and now you're at up to
And now
40
we're
in some
40,
cases?
50 people a day that come in and out through our centers for various reasons.
Mhm.
We were at a point where we do maybe 1 to 2 intakes a month, 2 or, not a month, 1 or 2 intakes a week. We're at a point where we're doing like 10 intakes in a week, where it's new people coming to us for services. And so, um, I don't think much of anything is getting better.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that too, because it's important to understand that the need has never been greater
Yeah.
for some of the organizations that serve our community.
Yeah.
And the funding has never been greater.
Yeah.
And you can't provide the service without the support.
Yeah.
And what does it look like? And we talked a lot about that. And then we're starting to see that improve to where the organizations are coalescing and understanding that we can do a much better job together than we can alone.
Yeah.
And that's important. We're going to transition here for a second to
Okay.
beyond the mission. This is beyond what you do on a day-to-day basis because you carry it with you all the time.
Yeah.
And I would imagine even more so as a client, having been in that situation, you recognize it in so many ways that somebody shows up that day, you take that person home in your head, or persons, home in your head, or that mother with children. And it makes it hard to break away. But we're going to talk a little bit about Sawan, the person outside of cash
Yeah.
for a second. We already know that you are expecting a fourth child.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Number 4. Thank you.
But we'll go through these rapidly. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
I am an early bird. I do not stay up late. I really
Well, especially today too, right?
Well, yeah, and I really do value sleep. I'm always trying to get 8 hours of sleep. It's my goal.
My wife is the same.
Yeah.
I recognize that and appreciate
Yeah,
it.
it's really important.
Beach, mountains, city, or road trip?
Road trip.
Favorite movie?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Really, I love it. I love that movie.
All of them.
And the soundtrack in the first one is so good.
I don't know why.
What did you want to be when you were a kid?
A social worker.
You're there.
I am.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it is.
What a great ambition.
And a missionary. So I'm on my way to missionary.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Isn't it great to be able to apply what you wanted to do and live it?
Yeah.
What's a simple joy you never get tired of?
Eating pho.
That's a first. I haven't heard anybody say that.
I love pho.
What keeps you grounded when things get heavy?
My faith.
Love that too.
Yeah.
Is there anyone that shaped how you lead?
My former executive director, Terry Galvan, who hired me on as cash, poured into me all that she had. And I owe a lot of my success to her.
And I think because of the last comments that you made or the last answers, I might know the answer to this one. If you weren't doing this work, what would you be doing?
I would probably be a missionary.
Yeah, that's what I figured you were going to say. So, in last question, in one sentence, or even just a couple of words, what are you grateful for today?
My life.
Good for you. That is so true, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you can't do anything else without it.
Nope.
Well, Sawan, what a great conversation. I have really enjoyed this. Sadly, but fortunately, what you do is so sorely needed.
Yeah.
And your explanation of impact from 3, 4, 5, in a day to 40 tells us that the need is greater than ever.
Yes.
And to the team that you've got, that is a small group doing a whole lot of work.
Yeah.
And benefiting the community to the degree that you are, the process that you're about to go through to get this capital campaign going and get you into that new building to triple the space
Yeah.
is Herculean.
I like that.
You'll be raising a child at the same time.
I will.
A
And I am not
newborn.
and I am gonna stick with it the entire way through. I'm
Good.
like pushing the baby out. What did they say?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh, no, that's a sympathy call. The baby's in your arms, and look, hey, we just need another $5,000.
Look at the baby.
Well, thank you so much for what you do.
Yes,
Let's go make something better.
we will. Thank you.
This episode has been powered by SMUD, Sacramento Municipal Utility District's Shine Awards program benefiting nonprofits for energy efficiency. Apply today. Thank you for listening to the Nonprofit Podcast Network. We hope today's episode inspired you and gave you a deeper look into the work of our local nonprofits. If you believe in our mission to amplify their voices, please take a moment to leave us a positive review and share this episode with a friend. It helps more people discover the incredible work happening in our community. Don't miss future episodes. Subscribe to our weekly updates and monthly newsletter at nonprofpod.com. And if you're a part of a nonprofit that would like to be featured, we'd love to hear from you. Just visit the Guest tab on our website. The Nonprofit Podcast Network is recorded and produced at Hear Me Now Studio with generous support from our partners, CapTrust, fiduciary advice for endowments and foundations, online at captrust.com. Western Health Advantage, local care with community impact. Find the plan that fits at westernhealth.com. CORE, executive leadership and comprehensive support services. Visit cxore.com. And 5 Star Bank, a local trusted advisor to community nonprofits for over 25 years. 5starbank.com. And finally, our episode sponsor, Sacramento Venture Philanthropy, a community of generosity combining people, expertise, and capital for good. svpsacramento.org.